All right, everyone. Good morning. I guess we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you all for coming out today. My name is Jeff Miner, and my role with Sunshine is Dealer Technical Support Specialist. And essentially, I function as an in-house support role for our technicians, both training technicians and helping out in the field. So essentially, they can come to us for support before we have to reach out to John Deere for support. We can actually be boots on the ground and be there at the machine and try to minimize downtime in any way possible. So with that being said, today what we're going to be discussing is operation and adjustments of all of our Gen 4 displays, which is basically the flagship display that's going to be found in all of our 6 through 9 series tractors, combine, sprayers. So, back in the past we had different displays in every tractor, and that's no longer the case. This is going to be the display you see in all of the large tractors, combine, sprayers alike. So today we're basically going to be going over all the basic adjustments of the machine. Hitch, SEVs, how to make those adjustments, and all the little hidden features inside here. So this is going to be our main run screen, and this is what you're typically going to see. And this is completely, you can change any of this layout. Different readings you want to see, counters, all that can be completely customized in the layout manager. And we'll discuss that a little while later. So this is our main screen. This is your quick little toolbar down here, and again, you can completely set this up to see whatever you need handy at your fingertips here. Go into our menu here, and this is going to be all of our typical machine settings, and this is what we're going to be covering in this presentation today. Audio, of course, all that's going to be right at your fingertips. You don't have to reach up to your radio anymore. It's all right here. Engine settings. This is where we can go in and set upper engine limit, basically a field cruise. You can set up to 2 of these, 1 and 2, and you can set them, adjust your RPM range however you like, and have both of those preset, and those can be turned on and off on your throttle right here. You can turn it on and off right here by your throttle. So we'll go back. HVAC, all your air conditioning settings is included in this as well. Lights, all of your lights, you can select what lights you want on in each position. 1, 2, high beams, number 2, and you can also set a delay. So, the typical delay default is 90 seconds. We can set them at instant off when you get out of that tractor cab. I think it goes up to 5 minutes. So give you enough time to shut down the tractor, close up your shop, lock the gate, whatever, and have a little light and get in your truck and head home. Maintenance and calibrations. I'll get into this a little more. I've got a sprayer simulator I'll pull up. There's not a whole lot in here on the tractor side, but when you get into the sprayers and combines, this is loaded, and this is where all your calibrations will be stored. Service intervals as well. You can now customize your service intervals. Instead of the light coming on and tell you, 50 hours of service, you can actually go in and add service intervals. You can name them however you like, and you can also put in notes. So, say at 2,000 hours you changed the oil in your front axle and your hubs, you can actually make a note in there, and it stores it in the computer. So, keeping a notebook inside the armrest anymore, all that can be customized and set up inside here. Phone for the Bluetooth radio, that's accessed through the Gen 4 display as well. PTO settings, not a whole lot in here. Something I did want to point out, let's go to our transmission settings. So this is a IVT transmission is what this simulator is set up on. We do have a 6230R and a 8230R set up outside. I think the 8R has a power shift transmission, but the 6R does have an IVT transmission. So this is your typical transmission layout for a IVT transmission. I think most everyone's familiar with that. We've had them for several years now. You can set your forward, F2, F3, F1 and F2 speeds, max speed, both forward and reverse is adjustable as well. Something very important with the Gen 4 display, and it's very handy, and it's kind of hidden, but see these little icons up here? You have this eye, this information eye, and this little upper arrow here. This eye information is always going to be a direct link to the operator's manual. So if you ever have any question of what type setting we're looking at, that can always be accessed right here. So you don't have to reach behind the seat and get your operator's manual out. Anytime you're going to have this help tab here, and again, it is a direct link to those settings inside the transmission. So we can pull up our IVT, and it tells us what every setting inside there does. So that's very helpful. Like I said, if you're ever looking at any type of a setting, you're not quite sure what it does, there's always a direct link in most of these books. So we'll go back. And this I is advanced settings. So you have all your basic settings here, but there are some settings we can access in this I, or in this little upper arrow here. Auto clutch sensitivity, forward to reverse ratio, and what this is independent. So say we're in F1 at 5 miles an hour, we can set our reverse speed at whatever we want, or we can select a ratio for our reverse speed to be half of what forward is, 3/4 of what forward is, whatever that may be. Rear hitch settings. Again, we do have some advanced settings in here, but this is basically all your settings. You can set your upper limit for your hitch, push of a button, that can be adjusted. Can also be adjusted with the thumb wheel on your armrest. Hitch drop rate, how fast the hitch lowers. You know, we don't want that tool slamming in the ground. We can adjust that here, along with the raise rate. That can all be adjusted as well, and our low depth adjustment. So here we'll move on to our SEVs. There's a little bit more here. Here we can adjust all of the flow and the detent times of our SEVs. Simple push of a button, our flow is defaulted to 5, but we can take that up or down however we see fit to fine tune the fold and unfold, raise, lower, whatever we have attached to those SEVs. Also detent times. So, you know, if it takes 10 seconds to unfold our disc, we can set that at 10 seconds. And that's all it takes. We hit that detent and it's going to fold 10 seconds and it's going to relieve. So we don't have to sit there and hold that button constantly. We can also, again, in these advanced settings here, we can also split flow. So if we wanted to raise lower, or raise faster, or lower slower, we can do that. We can go in here into SEV independent mode. So say SEV number 3, when we want to split the flow on it, we can turn this on. Now when we go to our SEV number 3, we can adjust it both ways. So if we want the extend, we want that to speed up a little bit. We want, say, full flow on extend, and then on the retract side, we want to slow that down a little bit. So we can adjust that here. So, you know, you don't have to compromise, I guess, with having the same speed for extend and retract functions. We can fine tune those however we see fit. Steering, this simulator is set up for a track tractor, so generally on a wheel tractor you're not going to have this, but this is our steering sensitivity for a track tractor. Let's see here. Another feature I wanted to point out that I've been wishing we could have for years, we're a lot of, you know, Hispanic operators in the area. We now have the ability to set a default secondary language, and again I customized that and I added it to the toolbar here. So is how this is set up as we'll go into our main system here, and this is all of the settings for the Gen 4. This is not machine settings, this is all Gen 4 settings. So we'll go to our language and units and language, so we're actively in English and the alternate is in Spanish. So with that being said, I won't do it for the sake of time, but with a simple press of this button here, the display will power down, reboot, and when it powers back up, everything's going to be in Spanish. So that's beneficial because a lot of times, I mean, these operators aren't stupid, you know, sometimes they don't understand. So, I mean, we get in tractors sometimes, you know, in warranty tractors, and, you know, the customer calls and it's got a code and it's a brand new tractor, and I get in, the air conditioner's not working. I mean, the guy just doesn't know, you know, and he may get a code coming up and all he knows is it's a code, you know, he doesn't have that understanding of what it actually means and if he can continue to run the tractor, if he actually needs to stop it. So I think that'll be helpful in the area for us as well to, you know, help with a little more understanding of these machines. I guess we'll go over Layout Manager next. So again, we went through most of all our machine settings here. Applications, this is mostly all your AMS type stuff, and Patrick and Steven is going to be going over some of these later today. I won't get into a whole lot here, but what I do want to discuss is Itech, and that's intelligent something control. Basically, we can set different functions. We can set up to 15 different functions: hitch, SEV, transmission functions, gear up, speed up. We can set all that with the push of a button. So when you get to the headland, instead of, you know, turning your SEV off, raising your hitch, we can set all that with the push of a button. Throttle down, speed up, we can set all that, and we got several different presets here. we'll get into that in just a minute. Layout Manager. This is how you can customize all of your default run pages. Shortcut bars, as I mentioned before, we'll look at that. And this is where I actually added that language. So you can take anything off here, you can add whatever you want to see that'll be on this toolbar constantly. Run pages. So this is going to be our default run pages, and this is going to be our guidance page, which is our run page number 2. So we can adjust anything we want to see on here. System. So again, this is all of our Gen 4 settings, display and sound, language. This is where we went and set our default second language, and also diagnostics. So this is where we're going to go. Let me go back, kind of start from the beginning. This is where we're going to go to retrieve our trouble codes. Main menu, system, diagnostics center. System diagnostics, trouble codes. So any of our codes are going to be stored here. So we got a bunch of active codes with this simulator here, certain things it's looking for that it probably doesn't see. But any of our codes are going to be stored here. You see some of these are active, actively occurring. Some of these are inactive, which means they're stored. Counts, and it also shows us how many times that trouble code has came up. So when you call us up, something's going on, we can go in here, and it's beneficial what's active, what's popping up on your screen, but sometimes it's really helpful for us to see those stored codes as well, just to kind of get a history of what happened first, cause and effect. CAN bus information, that's our communication system between all the controllers. Network, again, this is your MTG. We'll talk about connected machines a lot later, and so the MTG is our mobile telematics gateway. It's essentially a cell phone, that's basically communicating all that information to the hub, to the cloud. I mean, all that, it's calling in several times a day and relaying this information, trouble codes, fuel pressures, hydraulic pressures, different voltages, and any type of trouble codes will actually get alerts through expert alerts that something's going on with that machine, and this is what controls that. Yes, sir.
Question. That being the case, and going back to the trouble code, so if we go in and clear codes and it's communicating with JD Link, whatever features it has hooked up, will those codes be stored on our history on JD Link?
In JD Link, yes, sir. Yep, that history will still be there. So we can clear these codes, and it still will show that history. Again, so there what we got active, currently on a machine. But yeah, that history will stay in JD Link for you to go back and look at. So going back. Okay, let's go back to Itech. We'll go in and we'll set up an Itech sequence real quick and kind of show you what that looks like real time. So here's our Itech setup page. First we're going to turn our master switch on, and we can name these. So basically we can call this planner number 1. So for sequence number 1, we can add a step. So when we are entering the block, we want to speed up. So we're going to plan at 9 miles an hour. Okay. We want to add a step. What else are we going to do? Let's raise our engine speed. So we're going to go to 1800 RPMs. We're going to add another step. We're going to lower our rear hitch. And we'll extend our SCVs. We'll lower our wings. Say we got a stack fold. And these are offset, so how many feet before or after that line this function will actually be started. Let's see, we want to add anything else. Say we got downforce, so for SCV number 2, we're going to run that in constant. Extend. Okay. Alright, so that sequence is now set up as number 1. We'll name that planner lower. Okay. We can save that, and now for number 2, that's going to be exiting the block. So we want to slow down from 9 mile an hour till, let's see, 4 mile an hour to make our headland turn. Max engine speed, we're going to go from 1800, let's go down to 1100, making that turn. hitch, we're going to raise our hitch coming out of the block. Number 1 SCV, we're going to retract those to raise our wings. And number 2, we'll retract and we'll turn that downforce off. Okay. So we'll call this planter raise. Oh, let me click OK. The simulator is very accurate, but sometimes it's got some hiccups. Okay. So that's saved as our Itech number 2 sequence, and it's on. So we'll go back to our main run page here and try to simulate that. We can see our little green light here showing us that Itech is on and active. Now, let's go to our guidance and we'll set an AB line. Set track, make a new track, AB method. We'll call that track number 1. We'll set our A point. Now we need to drive at least 10 feet, so we will put our tractor in gear here. So we're moving now. Let's throttle up. And now we've drove enough, we can set our B point. So now we've got a line here. We're enabled, we're ready to auto track. So this is our auto track resume button. So we'll do that now and we should be auto tracking on that line. So here, we're auto tracking on that line now, driving through the field. So let's go in and set up our SEVs now. So for number 1, we've got that to unfold our wings. So we'll set that flow, we'll go up to 5.5. Alright, and for that time, it's going to take us 8 seconds to unfold those wings. We'll set that D10 time. And for number 2, we're going to turn that flow down to 3. And running downforce, we're going to want to run that in constant. Should be able to click inside this box here. Okay, so there's our constant. Now we got constant flow on that SCV number 2 when it's engaged. Hitch, our upper limit, we don't need that much upper limit. We don't need to pick the hitch all the way up. Just enough to clear the ground on our turn. Set that at 80%. And then our lower limit. Okay. Go back to our armrest. We'll set our lower limit at 30%. Okay. Now we've got that set. Alright, so go back to our guidance page. Why are we not moving? I don't know why we're not moving. Okay, well, technical difficulties. So anyways, we'll go back and I guess we can still probably perform that function. So number 1 SEV, number 2, we're going to put that in constant flow. Let's go ahead and turn that on. Do our armrest. We want to put that in detent. Okay, so we're running constant flow on our downforce for our planner. And with the push of this button here, number 1, so now we're lowering in the field. It's not going to work because we're not moving. I don't know what the deal is here. Back to our guidance. Well, I don't know. I guess we'll skip over that part. We can look at this a little closer when we get out to the machines. Give you a little better live view of what actually happens there. So again, with the diagnostics, I did want to get into calibrations and onboard diagnostics. So we'll switch over to our sprayer simulator here. And again, this is the same Gen 4. This is going to be across the board, our flagship display. So all the layout's the same. So you get from one machine to the next. Come on.
To go back to what you were just doing, you can program all of that in the tractor and without having to actually teach it and moving. Like a 8420 I had, you could do the Itech, but you actually had to move and teach it.
You had to record the setting. Yes, now you can input everything as you want.
So many feet.
Yeah, it's way simpler. You know, we had that on the 20 series and 30 series, and a lot of people didn't use it. It was so difficult to set up. But now you can set all that sequence up, and I think you can record up to, I don't know, 15 or 20 different functions. So when you go hook up your planner, it's recorded in there from last year. You don't have to go and re-record or resync that again. It's going to be in there from last year.
And you just tell it how many feet you want it to happen on.
Yep. Okay, so we finally got that off our screen here. So now we'll go into our system diagnostic center. Okay, so this is system diagnostics. Like I mentioned earlier, we don't have much of anything on our tractor because there's not a whole lot, diagnostics we can do on that. But on a sprayer or combine, there's tons of information in here. And as a technician, I mean, this is where we typically go. We're going to walk around the machine and see if we see anything obvious, pulled out, ripped out, oil spewing out. And if it's an electrical problem, I mean, this can tell us a lot without hooking the computer up. We'll check the codes and see what's active. And so we'll go into our boom system here, and at first it gives us a status report. So we got a green light, the center frame is calibrated, the tilt valve is calibrated, all that's good to go. Now we'll go into our switch readings. The boom floor switch is off, left tilt up, left tilt down, center frame raise. So say our center frame is not wanting to move up and down. Let's get this over here. We can do a quick check in here. We can pull this up, and we can see that switch status change as we press and lower that switch. So, that'll eliminate a lot of things right off the bat. So if we go in here and, this doesn't make a change, then we know we've got an issue either with our armrest or a multifunction handle. Something is not working. The computer is not seeing that we're pressing that switch. Also inside here, sensor readings. Voltage is our return to height sensor. This is the calibrated value, calibrated up, calibrated down value, and this is our actual voltage. Left wing fold, these are the left wing fold and the right wing fold sensors are both open. If we do have boom track, this is our target height, and we can see what we would be off canopy and off the ground. Come on. Just got to wait it out.
And while that's hanging up, I'll just point out this simulator here. This can be found at My John Deere. So if anybody has a current My John Deere account, if you don't,
And this is what that looks like.
That's where you would access all your parts advisory, Stella support, operations center, JD Link, but now the simulator is incorporated in there too.
Yeah, this is all accessed again through My John Deere, and this is what that looks like. So. Yes. Yeah, I think it does have a link to parts. Yeah, parts, JD Link, Operations Center, and the Command Center simulator is in there as well. See if we can move now. Okay. So sensor readings. Golly. There we go. All right, so output readings. So output readings. It's not going to let you move far if you don't, that's for sure. Even milliamps, output milliamps are different solenoids. So, you know, if we've got a short, we can actually see a lot of that right here. And again, I mean, as a technician, this is where we start. You know, without hooking up a computer, we can go in here and kind of isolate the problem to either on the front end of the machine, the back end of the machine, and give us a good starting point. Go back, cab controls, command arm controls, solution, tread adjust, say our tread adjust. I guess I should have calibrated the TCM. But tread adjust switches, you know, sometimes those things will get hung up on us. It's probably not calibrated, the reason we don't have a green light here. Tread in, tread out. So say one of those is hung up on us and we're not sure if it's just actually physically hung up or if we've got a hydraulic or an electrical problem. We can go here and see that switch status and our load sense jam, which is what sends that hydraulic flow. We can actually see that solenoid is opening and sending flow to those whatever valve should be moving. So that's it, I guess, as far as diagnostics. Like I said, I mean, you're not going to have a whole lot in here, you know, on the tractors, but when you get into your sprayers and combines, there really is some good information in here. Let's see what our time looks like. I guess we've got a few minutes. One of the other things I did want to kind of bring up and discuss a little bit is our E23 transmission. And this is the, I guess, newest transmission from John Deere, and essentially it's a hybrid between a typical power shift and the IVT. You still do have that physical gear, but you can fine-tune your speed within that gear. So it still gives us that ability to be able to customize it to fine-tune our speed and what type of work with the fuel savings. So we got a couple videos here. This first one is going to be in full auto, which is going to act more as an IVT, and then we can go to custom, which is you can fine-tune your speeds within that, your engine speeds within that. And then in manual mode, we won't show a video with that, but in manual mode, essentially you got just a power shift. You know, you can set your throttle how you want it, pick your gear and go. So this is going to be our auto.
This video explains the functionality and features of the John Deere E23 transmission in full auto mode, where the operator sets a desired ground speed and the tractor determines the most efficient way to maintain that speed. In full auto mode, the modules available to the operator are max speeds and set speeds. Set speeds can be viewed on the transmission and run pages, but can only be adjusted using the set speed adjusting wheel on the transmission control lever. In the full auto mode, the efficiency manager is always on, meaning the tractor will automatically control the throttle to change engine RPMs. It will upshift or downshift gears to maintain the operator's desired ground speed based on current engine load. Bumping the transmission control lever makes large ground speed changes. Finer speed changes are made using the adjusting wheel. Rapid speed changes are made by pulling the transmission lever forward or backward. Operators have the ability to set two separate programmable ground speeds in both forward and reverse. These set speeds are activated by pushing the set speed buttons on the command arm. To change the set speeds, remove the tractor from park and place the transmission control lever into neutral. Then, select one of the set speed buttons. Set speed will become active and indicated on the corner post display. Use the set speed adjusting wheel on the transmission control lever to dial in the desired ground speed. Once the ground speed is determined, move the tractor into gear. When a set speed button has been activated, the efficiency manager will shift gears and change the engine speed to reach the selected ground speed. An outline box will appear on the transmission module to show which speed is active, and the efficiency manager indicator light will be visible on the corner post display. Maximum throttle position is required to efficiently reach the desired ground speed. Engine RPMs will increase as the tractor makes automatic adjustments under changing loads. The set speed adjusting wheel can adjust the set speed value while the tractor is in gear. Bumping the transmission control lever forward or backward deactivates the set speeds. Ground speed will then increase or decrease. When shifting between forward and reverse in full auto, the tractor will return to its last known ground speed. Not all modules are available to the operator in full auto mode. Additional John Deere videos are available on how to set up and operate the other transmission modes.
Okay, so essentially, you know, we have in auto mode, the controller is going to select your gear and engine RPM to maintain that ground speed. So as load applies, it's going to gear down, throttle up as needed. You really don't have any customization over that until we get into a custom mode.
The E23, can you still hold the brakes? Did it take the IVT?
It does have an auto clutch feature. Yes, as IVT, it does have an auto clutch feature in auto. In manual, it doesn't. So in manual mode, you can still, it doesn't auto clutch.
John Deere E23 transmission in custom mode. Custom mode operates just like full auto mode, but allows for operator customization. In custom mode, the operator sets a desired ground speed, while the tractor determines the most efficient way to maintain that speed. The efficiency manager is always on, meaning the tractor will automatically control the throttle to change engine RPMs. It will upshift or downshift gears to maintain the operator's desired ground speed based on current engine load. The performance module is available in this mode to allow the operator to set two minimum engine operating speeds, displayed as Eco On and Eco Off. For example, Eco allows the operator to set a minimum engine speed for fieldwork conditions and another minimum engine speed for transport. For example, take a planting application with varying field conditions, which may require the tractor to maintain a higher engine speed. With the transmission in custom mode, a higher minimum RPM can be set based on the operator's preference to overcome headland turns, slopes, or soil conditions. With the Eco function off, select the Eco Off module. In this example, field conditions require a higher engine speed, so set the Eco Off to 1700 RPMs. Now, select the Eco Soft key to toggle Eco Performance on. Select the Eco On module to adjust minimum engine speed. In this example, lower RPMs can be used for transport, so set the Eco On to 900 RPMs. These Eco settings will ensure that the tractor maintains a set minimum engine speed for use in specific applications. From the command arm throttle control, Eco Performance can be toggled on or off. The indicator light on the command center will show when Eco On is active. Also in the performance module, the operator can select custom settings to tailor the transmission to a specific application. Custom settings allow the operator to adjust engine speed droop, along with PTO, hitch, and SCV load anticipation settings. The auto shift engine speed droop sets the permissible droop in engine speed under a load before the efficiency manager automatically downshifts. A lower percent means the transmission downshifts earlier, and a higher percent means the transmission downshifts later. Different values may be entered for operation, either PTO on or PTO off. Lower droop percentages are more responsive to load changes and result in more constant engine speeds. Higher droop percentages are less responsive to load changes and result in wider engine speed ranges. The load anticipation features allow the transmission to predict loads when PTO, hitch, or SCV are in use. When these features are toggled on, load anticipation can both downshift the transmission and increase engine speed to maintain the operator's desired ground speed. In custom mode, the max speeds can be adjusted, and set speeds can be viewed on both the transmission and run pages, although they can only be adjusted using the set speed adjusting wheel on the transmission control lever. Operators have the ability to set 2 separate programmable ground speeds in forward and reverse. These set speeds are activated by pushing the set speed buttons on the command arm. Since custom mode is speed-based, the set speeds function as they would in full auto mode. Additional John Deere videos are available on how to set up and operate the...
Okay, so there are a lot more, you do a lot more customizing in the custom mode. So really to fine tune this transmission, that's where we're going to be able to do that at. And that droop setting is a big one. So, you know, we don't want to burn any more fuel than necessary, but if you do have a wet spot in the field by a drain or something, we can fine tune that droop to where, I guess that was the complaint with a lot of the IVTs, is the power's not there when you necessarily need it. Well, this being that power shift function of a physical gear, you know, it's going to downshift, and that droop setting is only going to let your engine RPM drop so much, a certain percentage, before it downshifts and gives you that extra power. So I guess that's it. Has anyone got any questions? I know we're running a little short on time.
Going back to the tractor home screen, you know how the default page says that comes up. I have a 6155 RH. The control setup page with the Itech and the SBCs are coming up as my first home page, and I had to get out to see this. And I had 2 tractors doing that. One did reboot the computer system and it did fine. I was seeing if maybe we can get out of that one without rebooting the computer system.
You should, when you go into Layout Manager, can you change that? Because this is your default run page. So whatever you have set as your run page should be what comes up when you start the tractor.
Well, the computer Itech, I mean, I know Philip tried to get in and he couldn't figure it out.
Yeah, I'll get with you in a bit and see what you're looking at on your phone there and see what we can figure out. Phil, I know we're running a little short on time. You want to go out to the machines and take a look? I don't know how tight of a...
Basically, we'll leave that up to the group. I mean, if y'all want to take a restroom break or whatnot, or get ready for the 9 o'clock, or if you want to go see machines.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be here all day. I mean, we can go out to the machines now for a few minutes, or if y'all want to wait a little while and catch it after the next presentation. But we do have 2 machines with Gen 4 displays y'all can get in and kind of play around with.
Jump on it.
Okay, well, we'll just take a little break and keep going. Anyone got any more questions?
The new transmission, is it going on just the 7s, 8s, or is it going on 9 series?
7, 8s, and 9s. Yes.
And it's scraper applications.
Yes. Yep.
Fit that as well?
That's what we're really pushing it towards, is a scraper applications. You know, with the typical power shift, you know, you've got to cut back those engine RPMs on your own, but this can, you know, drop those engine RPMs and you still have that power when you need it making a cut. But when you got a full bucket and you go into the other end of the field to drop it, those engine RPMs will come back and you can still maintain your set ground speed.
How would you run that in I call it the middle of the custom version?
Yeah, custom mode. Custom mode would probably be the better because you can adjust that droop a little lower to where it has more of a response when you do go to make a cut, with the ability to fall back to 1200 RPMs, 1300 RPMs, however you have that set.
We just ask them to keep it over 900 on the cut.
Yeah. What you looking for?
I was just wondering if there could be something in here where if you have multiple display setup rather than
Yeah, I don't know why it's been working as far as, you know, putting the tractor in gear. It was working, but it come up and said speed too low to auto track and cut out. Yeah, go down the machine, just restart it.
Unfortunately, I had to go. I have to judge.
What is
Hey, make sure I get my picture.
Just have 3 transmissions now. You have the E23, the power shift, and the IVT, or they're doing away with one, or
No, they still got the IVT. Yep. Yeah, and then they do have a, what do they call that, a command quad in the 6Rs now, and a direct drive, which we haven't seen any of those in the area.
What's going to be the economic gap between the E23 and standard power shift pricing?
I think the E23 is actually cheaper than the IVT. I know we had discussed that the other day. I'm not 100% sure.
I'm
I can find that out. I know we got a couple salesmen here today.
That was the best thing we found.
Yeah, let's
Some of those are very.
We don't need no trouble around.
Especially with the transmission.
We don't need to sit there.
Barry, I'm sure he's here somewhere. He might be out of bed by now. What time is it? 9 o'clock?
A little early.